Hey, Steelers Nation! Your Pittsburgh Steelers are always looking to improve, striving for greatness, and working hard to bring championships back to the Burgh. But before we dive into today's huge topic, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe for the latest Steelers news, rumors, and updates. It really helps the channel grow and keeps us bringing you top-tier Steelers content. Now, let's get into it. So, out of absolutely nowhere, a wild rumor surfaced that the Pittsburgh Steelers had inquired about trading for Jacksonville Jaguars quarterback Trevor Lawrence. Yeah, you heard that right. Ryan Burr of the Big Ten Network and several other outlets reported that the Steelers had made inquiries to the Jaguars about a potential trade for the former #1 overall pick. Now, before we get too excited or too skeptical, let's break this down. Burr claims that his report comes directly from the horse's mouth inside the Jaguars organization, meaning someone within Jacksonville gave him this information. If true, this would be a bombshell. But here's where it gets interesting. Football Talk's Mike Florio commented that this is the kind of report that seems too random to be made up. Yet, almost immediately, ESPN's Jaguars reporter Michael DeRocco shut it down, stating that there is no chance Jacksonville trades Lawrence and calling the whole idea ridiculous. Now let's think about this logically. The Jaguars just signed Lawrence to a massive 5-year extension worth up to $275 million with $142 million fully guaranteed. That's a serious investment. But here's the catch. Lawrence didn't exactly light it up last season. Under Doug Peterson, he struggled, dealing with a shoulder injury and a concussion that sidelined him late in the year. Ultimately, Peterson got the boot, and Jacksonville brought in Liam Cohen as their new head coach. In his introductory press conference, Cohen made it clear that Lawrence was one of the main reasons he took the job. So, would Jacksonville really consider moving on from their young quarterback after signing him to a mega deal just a year ago? Probably not. But let's consider why this rumor even exists. We all know Pittsburgh's quarterback situation is, well, let's call it fluid. Right now, Russell Wilson and Justin Fields are both on the roster, but neither is locked in for the future. Wilson is an aging veteran with a hefty contract situation, and Fields is still an unknown commodity in terms of being a long-term answer. Steelers fans have been through enough quarterback drama over the last few years. From Ben Roethlisberger's retirement to Kenny Pickett not working out, to the Mason Rudolph experiment, and now to the Wilson Fields debate, it's been a roller coaster. So, the idea of trading for a high-profile QB like Lawrence makes for a juicy storyline. But let's be real. If the Steelers were looking for a quarterback, there are other options out there. Pittsburgh has already been linked to names like Aaron Rodgers and Kirk Cousins. There's even been speculation that the team could target Matthew Stafford from the Rams, potentially in a package deal that includes wide receiver Cooper Kupp. If the Steelers really wanted to make a big move at quarterback, they wouldn't necessarily have to go after a guy like Lawrence, whose contract and Jacksonville's investment in him make a trade highly unlikely. Now, speaking of big-name quarterbacks, let's talk about Aaron Rodgers. Steelers safety. Deshaun Elliott recently stirred up the rumor mill when he hinted at the idea of Rodgers coming to Pittsburgh. Then, Mike Florio from Pro Football Talk weighed in, saying he actually thinks it's a real possibility. Florio pointed out that Rodgers' time with the Jets seems to be coming to an end, and if he wants one final shot at a successful career send-off, Pittsburgh makes a lot of sense. The Steelers are a winning franchise. They make the playoffs consistently. They have a strong defense and a respected head coach in Mike Tomlin. That's a much better situation than, say, the New York Giants or the Las Vegas Raiders, where Rodgers would likely struggle to find success. But let's not forget Rodgers comes with baggage. His outspoken personality, his weekly appearances on the Pat McAfee show, and his history of clashing with coaches and front offices have made him a controversial figure. The Steelers went through something similar with Ben Roethlisberger in the late 2010s, when Big Ben had his own radio show and often stirred up drama within the team. Would Mike Tomlin really want to deal with another quarterback with a big personality and an unpredictable media presence? That's a serious question. Pittsburgh would have to consider. Now, this is the kind of news no Steelers fan wants to hear. The NFL offseason has barely begun, but Pro Football Network, PFN, has already run its playoff predictor model to simulate how the 2025 season could play out. And folks, the results are not pretty. According to the PFN simulation, which ran 10,000 times, the Steelers are projected to finish the 2025 season with a 60-11 record, marking the first losing season in Mike Tomlin's coaching career. If this projection holds, it would also mean the Steelers would miss the playoffs for the first time since 2022. But before we all start panicking, let's take a deep dive into why PFN's model might be so down on Pittsburgh. A big part of this projection comes down to uncertainty at quarterback. As of now, both Russell Wilson and Justin Fields are free agents, and there is no clear plan for who will be leading this offense in 2025. There have been rumors about a possible Aaron Rodgers signing, but that remains highly uncertain. On top of that, PFN highlighted some serious concerns about offensive production. The 2024 Steelers ranked 25th in offense and 24th in offensive line performance, two categories that desperately need improvement if Pittsburgh wants to compete at a high level. If these issues persist into 2025, it's easy to see why analysts would be skeptical about the team's playoff chances. If you're the type of fan who likes to put their money where their mouth is, here's something to consider. According to FanDuel Sportsbook, the Steelers currently have plus 6,500 odds to win the Super Bowl LX at the end of the 2025 season. That ranks them 22nd overall, far from the league's elite teams. PFN's model gives the Steelers just an 8.2% chance of making the playoffs, a 1.4% chance of making the divisional round, and a staggeringly low 0.1% chance of winning the Super Bowl. Yeah, you heard that right. Less than a 1% chance of winning it all. How does the AFC North stack up? Of course, a big part of the Steelers' success, or failure, depends on how they perform within the AFC North, one of the toughest divisions in football. Here's how PFN is projecting the division to shake out. Baltimore Ravens, 12-5, projected AFC North champs. Cincinnati Bengals, 10-7, wildcard contender. Pittsburgh Steelers, 6-11, miss playoffs. Cleveland Browns, 4-12. Still struggling. If these predictions hold, it means the Ravens will continue to dominate while the Bengals bounce back with a strong season. The Browns, meanwhile, are expected to take a major step back. So where does this leave Pittsburgh? Here's the reality. Trevor Lawrence to Pittsburgh is highly unlikely. The Jaguars have invested too much in him, and despite last season's struggles, they're not ready to move on. Aaron Rodgers is a possibility, but he comes with risks. He could still be a highly effective quarterback, but the Steelers would have to manage his personality and leadership style. Matthew Stafford or another veteran QB could be in play. If the Steelers don't believe in Fields or Wilson long-term, they might explore other veteran options before the draft. Drafting a quarterback is still an option. While this draft class isn't considered the strongest, the Steelers could look at a young prospect if they don't believe in Fields as the future. One thing is clear. Pittsburgh is still searching for stability at the quarterback position. The days of having a franchise quarterback locked in for a decade plus, like we had with Big Ben, are long gone. But the Steelers can't afford to keep making the same mistakes by constantly shuffling through QBs year after year. They need to commit to a plan and stick with it. What do you think, Steelers Nation? Do you believe the Steelers actually inquired about Trevor Lawrence? Should Pittsburgh make a bold move for a big-name QB like Aaron Rodgers or Matthew Stafford? Or do you think they should ride with Justin Fields and see what he can do? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. And don't forget to like and subscribe for more Steelers news, analysis, and updates. We've got an exciting offseason ahead, and we'll be here covering every twist and turn. Thanks for watching, and as always, here we go Steelers.